Imagine being stranded in a place so remote. The closest humans to you are not on land. They are astronauts orbiting hundreds of miles above Earth. It sounds like science fiction, right? But it is real. Welcome to Point Nemo, a desolate spot in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so isolated that it has earned the title of the loneliest place on Earth. No people, no islands, just thousands of miles of endless ocean. But what makes this place even stranger? It is not just Earth's most remote location. Space agencies use it as a graveyard for decommissioned satellites and spacecraft. So, while you stand or float at Point Nemo, hundreds of pieces of space debris could be falling into the ocean nearby. Creepy? Fascinating? Maybe both. But there is even more to this mysterious point, and you will not believe what lies beneath those waves. You are floating in the middle of the ocean, with no land in sight, just an endless circle of blue water extending in every direction. Sounds peaceful, right? Now imagine that the closest humans to you are in space. That is right. The astronauts aboard the International Space Station, orbiting hundreds of miles above, are closer than any person on Earth. Welcome to Point Nemo, officially known as the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, the most remote spot on our planet. But why does this place exist? And why do space agencies like NASA aim for this lonely point when they crash their spacecraft? Stick around, because what you will learn next might just blow your mind. Point Nemo lies deep in the South Pacific Ocean, about 1,670 miles, or 2,688 kilometers, from any land landmass. To put that into perspective, if you stood at Point Nemo, you would be as far from land as you could get on Earth. On one side, you have got the Pitcairn Islands, on another, Easter Island, and to the south, the icy shores of Antarctica. But good luck seeing any of them. They are all thousands of miles away. And how was this spot even found? It was not explorers or adventurers who discovered Point Nemo. No, it was a man named Harvoje Lukatela, a Canadian-Croatian engineer who used computer software to calculate the exact coordinates in 1992. No ship voyages, no dangerous sea journeys, just mathematics and technology. And the name Nemo? That is not just a cute Pixar fish. It is a nod to Captain Nemo from Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and fittingly in Latin, Nemo means no one. Point Nemo is not just some random spot in the ocean. It is the world's space graveyard. Since the 1970s, more than 263 pieces of space debris have been intentionally crashed into this remote area. We are talking about massive satellites, vanished space stations like Russia's Mir, and even NASA's old Skylab. And in 2031, the International Space Station, yes, that ISS, will end its journey right here, sinking into the depths of Point Nemo. Why here? Simple. It is the safest place to drop giant hunks of metal from space without risking lives. With no land and no people nearby, the ocean becomes the perfect dumping ground. But do not picture an underwater junkyard with neatly stacked satellites. The debris is scattered across miles of the ocean floor, lying about 2.5 miles beneath the surface. It is weird to think that somewhere down there, pieces of humanity's experiences in space are quietly rusting away. And if you think reaching Point Nemo by sea is an option, think again. Few have ventured there, and for good reason. The surrounding ocean is part of the Southern Ocean, infamous for having some of the worst weather on Earth. Imagine waves as high as a 6-story building and winds so fierce they can knock your boat off. Course in seconds. The Volvo Ocean Race, one of the world's toughest sailing competitions, passes near Point Nemo, and even those seasoned sailors describe the conditions as brutal and unforgiving. Picture being thrown around by 70-foot waves while trying to sleep, strapped into a harness, because standing is not an option. It is not exactly your dream vacation spot. And speaking of danger, remember how I mentioned the International Space Station flies overhead? At times, The astronauts orbiting 250 miles above Point Nemo are literally the closest humans to that spot. That means you could be floating in the ocean, and the people closest to you are in outer space. Let that sink in. Yet Point Nemo is not just interesting because of its isolation or its role as a spacecraft cemetery. There is more. The area lies within the South Pacific Gyre, a swirling ocean current that traps debris, making the waters unusually calm. But do not let that fool you. This calmness is not inviting. It is part of what makes the area so barren. Nutrients are low here, which means marine life is practically absent. It is a biological desert. Few fish, no coral reefs, just an endless, empty ocean. And yet, humanity's footprint still reaches this far. In 2018, during the Volvo Ocean Race, researchers discovered microplastics floating in the waters of Point Nemo. Think about that for a second. The most remote place on Earth is not free from pollution. Even in this empty stretch of ocean, the effects of human activity, plastics, chemicals, are present. It is both fascinating and disturbing. But the mysteries do not end there. Back in 1997, scientists using underwater microphones recorded the loudest underwater sound ever detected near Point Nemo. Dubbed the bloop, this bizarre noise was louder than a blue whale and sparked wild theories. Was it a previously unknown sea monster? A top-secret military experiment? Or, brace yourself, a hint of something not of this world? Conspiracy theories flourished. Eventually, scientists concluded it was likely the sound of massive icebergs cracking and breaking apart. Still, the mysterious coincidence that it came from waters near Point Nemo has kept imaginations running wild. Whether it is the idea of being completely alone on Earth, or the strange secrets hiding beneath those waves. But despite its isolation, Point Nemo is not impossible to visit if you are willing to go through hell to get there. In 2023, British adventurer Chris Brown and his son went on an 8-day journey across rough seas just to swim at Point Nemo. Yes, they literally swam there. And what did they find? Nothing. Just water, waves, and more water. There was no land, no fish schools, just the surreal knowledge that they were at Earth's most unreachable point. So why does Point Nemo matter? Why should we care about this watery nowhere? Well, for one, it reminds us just how vast and fragile our planet is. We often think there are no unexplored places left on Earth, but Point Nemo proves otherwise. It is a symbol of isolation, a dumping ground for space debris, and a reminder that even the most remote corners of our world are not beyond human reach or human impact. And in 2031, when the International Space Station ends its journey and plunges into the depths of Point Nemo, it will not just be metal sinking beneath the waves. It will be a reminder of humanity's incredible achievements and the footprints we leave behind.